For years, the Black Mafia Family story has captivated fans of both street lore and hip-hop drama. Demetrius "Big Meech" Flenory once embodied loyalty and mystique, someone who built an empire, took a 30-year sentence on the chin, and supposedly never snitched. Now everything is tangled in accusations of betrayal and informants. Throw in 50 Cent and Rick Ross, two longtime rivals, and you've got a situation crackling with tension, rumor, and media frenzy. In this condensed look, we'll untangle the main points of this volatile saga, exploring who's really crossing lines and who might just be stirring the pot for personal gain. Big Meech and his brother Terry, Southwest T. Flenory, grew up in Southwest Detroit during the 1980s, an era scarred by economic collapse and rising crime. From modest hustling, they expanded into a multi-state operation called the Black Mafia Family. By the 2000s, BMF was known not just for street activity, but also for launching BMF Entertainment, promoting big names in hip-hop. Meech's charisma and ambition helped fuse glitz and grime, lavish nightclub parties, celebrity friendships, and an undercurrent of illegal dealings. Detroit, Atlanta, Los Angeles, wherever the brothers went, they had a reputation for both generosity and discipline. The organization's scale, hundreds of affiliates moving product across the country, caught the attention of federal agents eager to bring them down. Government agencies like the DEA and FBI took notice of BMF in the early 1990s, but it was Operation Motor City Mafia, launched in the early 2000s, that finally landed decisive blows. Mid-level members began flipping under pressure, wearing wires, recording deals, and leaking inside knowledge. In 2005, law enforcement raided key properties, seizing millions of dollars, drugs, firearms, and more. Big Meech and Terry were indicted on multiple counts, including conspiracy to distribute large quantities of illegal substances and money laundering. In 2006, they received 30-year sentences, and many believed the story ended there. Meech was locked away, refusing to cooperate. BMF was effectively dismantled, and the once mighty empire splintered. In prison, Meech remained relevant. He worked on a plan to bring the BMF tale to Hollywood. A key figure in this endeavor was Tammy Cowens, who presented herself as Meech's best friend and business partner. She owned the rights to his life story, which she aimed to develop into films, documentaries, and eventually a TV series. Yet rumors circulated that Tammy was a government informant. Tonessa Welch, sometimes called the First Lady of BMF, claimed Tammy tried to get her sent back to prison by feeding false reports to federal authorities. Others linked Tammy's cooperation with Big Meech's reduced sentence. Fans asked, why would Meech, known for his code of silence, partner so closely with someone who might be giving intelligence to the feds? Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is never shy about stirring controversy. After cementing his place in rap, he moved into television production. By 2019, he announced a scripted BMF series for Starz, a major venture that would dramatize the meteoric rise and fall of Big Meech, Terry, and the entire Black Mafia family. But to tell the BMF story, 50 had to secure rights and collaborate with those who held them, namely Tammy Cowens. Allegedly, he knew about her background, yet went forward anyway. This led many to suspect he cared more about producing a blockbuster show than about who he worked with. Despite these whispers, most fans celebrated the idea of a high-quality TV take on BMF. The cast included Meech's son, Demetrius Flenory Jr., playing his father. The behind-the-scenes relationships were not front-page news, until a new feud erupted. Rick Ross, real name William Leonard Roberts II, is a rapper with a controversial backstory. He once served as a correctional officer, which 50 Cent repeatedly used as ammunition to discredit Ross's street credentials. Their feud stretches back nearly 2 decades, with each taking shots at the other's reputation. So when Big Meech linked up with Rick Ross for a welcome home event in Florida, it sent 50 Cent into a tailspin. He lashed out on social media, posting rat images and hinting that Big Meech was a snitch. To outsiders, it looked like an explosion that came from nowhere, but it was driven by a deep grudge. From 50's point of view, Meech had betrayed him by teaming with 50's bitter rival. And if Ross was once a correctional officer, 50 reasoned Meech was essentially collaborating with law enforcement. Fans, however, were quick to point out that 50 himself had been working with an alleged federal informant, Tammy Cowens, for years. The question became, who's really acting hypocritical here? One of the biggest claims against Meech involves Dion Cuffey Gatling, a longtime friend and associate of the BMF founder. Cuffey's daughter, Tamara, stated on social media that Meech set her father up through Tammy, feeding him into a sting operation. She maintains that after 20 years of loyalty and brotherhood, Meech essentially traded Cuffey's freedom to secure benefits for himself. Cuffey also spoke in a leaked jail call, describing how he believed Meech deliberately involved him in a project with Tammy, knowing she was working with the feds. While these allegations aren't confirmed in open court, they've circulated widely in interviews and on social media, deepening the negative cloud around Meech's dealings. Tonessa Welch, who knew Meech closely, became another voice spotlighting Tammy's history as a government witness. She alleged Tammy provided authorities with false statements that could have put Tonessa back behind bars. Meanwhile, Whack 100, a figure often at the center of rap controversies, argued that Meech's continued partnership with Tammy after learning she was an informant violated any street code of loyalty. Detractors say Meech had no choice but to keep Tammy close because she owned his life rights. Cutting ties might have sunk any film or TV projects that would eventually support his future. According to this logic, Meech had to decide, maintain a moral code or keep his story and financial interests alive. The public backlash toward 50 Cent is loud. If he despises informants, why partner with one for the BMF series? Critics argue he was fine looking the other way until Meech announced a deal with Rick Ross. Only then did 50 start calling Meech a rat, implying that it was all about personal vendettas, not principles. Supporters of 50 point out that Ross spent his earlier days locking people up and might still cooperate with law enforcement. From 50's perspective, that's the ultimate betrayal. As for Tammy, he might rationalize that her involvement was purely about business, an arrangement forced by who owned the rights. Yet the label of hypocrisy sticks in many observers' minds. Even if 50 had a contract with an alleged informant, he had the choice to walk away. Then again, business in Hollywood is rarely that simple, especially when potential ratings and millions of dollars are at stake. If you view Big Meech as a street legend who never cracked under legal pressure, the mere notion of him cooperating is difficult to swallow. But the early release from prison, ties to Tammy, and the Cuffey allegations paint a murkier picture. Meech's supporters argue none of it proves that he offered information against others. In their eyes, he remains loyal and is simply maximizing business opportunities. Meanwhile, 50 Cent insists Meech broke a code by connecting with someone he perceives as a fraudulent hustler. Fans can't help but wonder if 50 is purely driven by resentment toward Rick Ross and is using snitch accusations to tear down Meech's brand. Questions remain. Did Meech genuinely compromise himself through deals with Tammy? Is 50 Cent attacking Meech for personal reasons, or does he genuinely believe Meech sold out? How does Rick Ross factor in as the alleged final straw that ignited 50's rage? Social media platforms have turned these questions into a non-stop debate. Memes, tweets, and YouTube videos scrutinize every statement and interview. Fans have created factions. Team 50, Team Meech, or Team They're All Shady. When you look at the entire saga, it's about more than just 50 Cent and Big Meech trading insults or forging alliances with controversial figures. It touches on deeper themes: loyalty versus personal gain, the harsh realities of the criminal justice system, the seductive power of fame, and the blurred line between business and moral principles. Perhaps the most intriguing part is how the real story might eclipse even the most dramatized scenes from the BMF show. Behind every social media post is a swirl of allegations, bitter feuds, and possible hidden truths that may never fully emerge. As viewers and fans, we can only watch the unfolding drama, question what's being presented, and decide for ourselves who holds the moral high ground. In the end, the BMF legacy continues to evolve, part myth, part reality. 50 Cent is forging ahead with more seasons of his series. Rick Ross is thriving in music and business, and Big Meech is out of prison sooner than expected. Whether any of them will ever fully address the informant rumors in a way that satisfies their critics remains to be seen. Until then, the conversation rages on. serving as a reminder that in the intersection of hip-hop, Hollywood, and the criminal underworld, truth is rarely cut and dried, and might just depend on who's telling the story.